Alright, this is lesson 22, Imperial Spain and Philip II. We just talked about the French War of Religion and an overview of these religious wars and the Schmalkaldic Wars from the last chapter. Philip II lived from 1554 to 1598. His father was Charles I of Spain, who's also Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire. His mother is Isabella of Portugal. This is how he's going to end up becoming the King of Portugal. And I know you hate it, Philip II of Spain, but because he's the first Philip to be King of Portugal, he's Philip I of Portugal. So, just something to file back. This is another example of how this numbering system works in understanding historical figures. Philip II of Spain. He's heir to the Western Habsburg holdings. His uncle, the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand I, receives Austria, Bohemia, and Hungary. New World riches. This is going to be the source of a great deal of Philip II's power. Silver is going to go to Seville from the mines, the Potosi mines in what is now Bolivia. At the time it was called Peru. And Zacatecas mines in Mexico, in northern Mexico. Of course, Potosi is the one single largest silver mine that at least I know of in history. The problem is, though, he's going to have huge war expenses. He's going to be fighting wars against France, against the Turks, against the English, and he's going to be fighting against the Dutch Revolt from his rule. He's also going to inherit debt from all the wars his father fought. Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire, Charles I of Spain. It's going to get so bad that the thuggers, who are the bankers, the bankers of the Holy Roman Empire, they are going to be bankrupted by his inability to pay them back. And here we see a picture of the Potosi mines. Well, right here, the veins and so on. Increased population during this time period. American wealth made Europe richer as its population grew in the last half of the 16th century. Town populations in France, England, and the Netherlands tripled or quadrupled. What you see there in green, that is the Netherlands. For some reason, Switzerland's shaded too, but give you an idea of where the Netherlands are. To the south of the Netherlands, the big country south of the Netherlands is France. And, of course, England, Scotland, and Wales are part of the island of Great Britain over there to the west of Netherlands. Changing economy. Even with all that wealth, though, there's more money, but there are more people, and there's no extra food. So that means less food. And wages aren't going up, but prices have doubled or tripled in different places. Spain is especially bad off. The new wealth that came into Spain basically went to the wealthiest people in Spain, and it didn't trickle down. And Castilian peasants were the most heavily taxed peasants in Europe. So you have all this wealth, and yet you have the peasants bearing a huge burden, and all this money is getting spent. And by the way, where the Spanish spending this? Well, they're spending it on stuff that's being made and traded for with the Dutch, the English, the French. So this wealth is going to move from Spain through Europe. Spain isn't going to really build much of an economic infrastructure up, and they're going to provide essentially the resources for some of these other countries to really blow up economically and be awesome in the next 100 years. Philip's leadership. He established an efficient bureaucracy and an efficient military. He organized his lesser nobility into a fine national bureaucracy. And his personality, he was hardworking, he was very studious, very Catholic, and really spent a lot of time with paper and a pen in his hand. He was a patron of the arts. He built the Escorial, which is this sort of combination of a palace, tomb, church, and monastery. In the slide here, you see the picture of the Escorial. Beautiful. And he was a tough customer. His son, Don Carlos, was kind of crazy. He imprisons him. Within a year, Don Carlos dies. Most historians today think that basically Don Carlos was depressed and essentially his health failed him. But at the time, a lot of people wondered if Philip II actually killed his son. Supremacy in the Mediterranean is a big issue here. The first half of Philip II's rule, the Mediterranean focus is where he's at. He's fighting the Turks. Here we see the globe, and we see the holdings of the Ottoman Empire, roughly as big as it got. And Spain is Europe's traditional champion against Islam. So here Philip II is going to take them on. In the 1560s, the Turks have pushed into Austria. They're dominating the Mediterranean. Remember, Austria is ruled by the Habsburgs, and Charles the First was a Habsburg. His son is a Habsburg. So Philip II, this is kind of a family thing. Don Juan, or Don John, the illegitimate son of Charles V. He's not the only one, by the way. So he's related to Philip II. He will suppress the Moors in Granada, and he will eventually lead other battles against the Turks. Here we see Don John standing there looking regal at the Battle of Lepanto, 1571. Major battle, very important. There are two battles kind of associated with Philip II. Battle of Lepanto, naval battles anyway. Battle of Lepanto and the Spanish Armada's defeat. And this is the first one. It's the Holy League, an alliance with Spain, Venice, and Genoa versus the Turks. A third of the Turkish fleet is lost. 30,000 Turks will die. The Ottomans, though, will rebuild, and they will reclaim some Mediterranean islands that were captured along the way. They're going to be very influential in the Eastern Mediterranean within short order after the Battle of Lepanto. It's just that they won't be so powerful in the Western Mediterranean anymore. Philip II inherits Portugal in 1580, making him Philip I of Portugal. This means more sea power and control of Brazil, and of course they have some colonies and fortifications along the coast of Africa and in India, and all the way to the East Indies. And you can see with this map kind of where this influence lay. The revolt in the Netherlands. Netherlands are the richest part of Europe. His half-sister, another illegitimate child of Charles I of Spain, Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire, Margaret of Parma, will be the regent, with a council headed by Cardinal Granvelle. They're trying to reform the church to check Protestantism, and they have a plan to centralize the 17 provinces in the Netherlands to rule from Madrid. Well, these merchant towns in the Netherlands are independent-minded, they're Calvinist, they're big on religious pluralism and toleration, and they're not going to like this. And the Count of Egmont and William of Nassau, who is also William of Orange, will lead the resistance. Here we see William the Silent, also known as William of Orange, also known as William of Nassau. He's got a lot of nicknames. He's a politique. He's loyal to the Netherlands. He's married to Anne of Saxony, and he converts to Calvinism after the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. So we kind of have a sense of where his thinking's at, considering he converts to Calvinism right after the Guises slaughter a bunch of Calvinists, a bunch of Huguenots in France. Cardinal Granvelle, he will be dismissed. He had pushed his church reforms probably a little too hard, not particularly diplomatic about it, and it was just kind of not going to happen anyway. Orange and Egmont will organize the aristocracy to remove him, but without him, the administration is going to be poor, which means more people are going to be unhappy, popular unrest will increase, and radical Calvinists will gain followers. The compromise. Philip II is going to try to enforce the Council of Trent next. Louis of Nassau will lead the opposition. Margaret of Parma will reject the compromise. The compromise is this pledge to resist Trent and the Inquisition, and riots will follow. So here we see the rebellion is brewing. Basically, the resistance has sent this document, the compromise, saying, "Hey, we won't put up with this Council of Trent business. We want our Protestantism." The Duke of Alba, kind of a mean, tough-looking guy there. The Netherlands nobility will hesitate to rebel because of their concerns about radical Calvinism, but the Duke of Alba is going to make sure it happens. He's sent by Philip II to crack down. His council will rule the Netherlands. The Spanish called it the Council of Troubles. The folks of the Netherlands will call it the Council of Blood, which gives you an idea of what they think. The Counts of Egmont and Horn, and that can be spelled with two O's instead of just one, just depends on who decides to spell it. The Counts of Egmont and Horn and several thousand will be executed as heretics. The Spanish will lay heavy taxes on the Netherlands to pay for their own suppression. This is a lot like, kind of like the Boston occupation of Boston in the American Revolution by British troops. And tens of more violent than that though. Tens of thousands fled the Netherlands, and here we see the council being run by the Duke of Alba. Resistance and unification. William of Orange will lead an independence movement from Germany. The political resistance will fuse with Calvinism in the northern provinces. The Sea Beggars. These are Spanish exiles and criminals. A lot of them are English. They will capture the port of Brill, as shown in this illustration here. The Battle of Brill. Elizabeth I will cut ties with them due to their piracy. They're a little kind of over-enthusiastic. The Sea Beggars will spark more revolt in the Netherlands. The Dutch will even flood their own territory to push back the Spanish. This picture shows you one of the dikes, these levees that they use to keep the water out, to reclaim land. They'll let the water come in. The pacification of Ghent. Don Louis de Requesens will take over from the Duke of Alba. The Spanish Fury will happen in Antwerp. When he dies, unpaid Swiss mercenaries will riot, killing 7,000 people. And this brings the Catholics, mainly in the southern provinces of the Netherlands, to unite with the Protestants against this rule. The pacification of Ghent will happen. Each province will get to determine its own religion, which is basically the Netherlands version of the Peace of Augsburg that was established in Germany. Hint, you should know about the Peace of Augsburg. Then formed the Union of Brussels. So now you have the southern and the northern provinces forming the Union of Brussels, a united Netherlands in 1576. Don John, the guy who won the battle in the Battle of Lepanto, is now on board for Spain. He's forced to sign the Perpetual Edict in the same year as this Union of Brussels is established. William of Orange is now in the Netherlands, and then it happens. The Union of Arras and the Union of Utrecht. What happens is the southern provinces break away to form the Catholic Union of Arras. The northern provinces form the Union of Utrecht, and so this is going to lead the way to more violence. Netherlands independence. Philip II is declares William of Orange an outlaw. Here we see the flag and the coat of arms of William of Orange. William of Orange calls Philip II a heathen in the Apology, which is basically his statement about essentially how horrible Philip II is. 1581, the Union of Utrecht is formally declared. Philip II, Union of Utrecht formally declares Philip II is not their ruler. Instead, they choose the Duke of Alençon or the Duke of Anjou as a ruler in name only, but he tries to actually run the show, and look at him, he just doesn't look too impressive. He gets sent back to France, and then the Spanish will assassinate William of Orange in 1584. Here you see a sketch of his death. There's actually a picture in Wikipedia where they show the bullet holes. So apparently this guy shot through him. The teenager, this is not a picture of him when he's a teenager, but this is all I could find for him that I knew I could use legally. Teenager Maurice of Orange was aided by France and England. And, basically what's going to happen is Philip II takes on too much. Philip II works deals with the Guise family, the Treaty of Granvelle. He sends troops into France during the War of the Three Henries. He sends the Spanish Armada against the English. He's spread too thin. Philip's forces are going to be kicked out of the northern Lent. In 1596, France and England will recognize the independence of the Netherlands. In 1609, there will be the 12 Years' Truce, which meant that Spain essentially has agreed with the independence of the Netherlands, although they won't actually fully recognize it. And then, by 1648, the Peace of Westphalia, you have full recognition of their independence. 1648, the Peace of Westphalia, this also recognizes the end of this conflict between the Dutch and the Spanish, which some people call the 80 Years' War, since it basically started in 1568 and ends in 1648. Thank you.